I'm a journalist specialized in career and business, and I'm here to present this panel talking a little bit about humanization and inclusion in service. Using technology nowadays to improve service is crucial, but at the right amount. I brought up a survey from the Qualibest Institute. It shows that people do not want to receive standardized robotic answers, and they hate to talk to this sort of technology. And the secret is to get the right amount of response. And our companies being able to cope with that. And I'd like to tell about your experience about this. Good afternoon. My name is Natalie. I work at the Siemens Bank. In Siemens Bank, I am responsible for serving the uh, credit for seniors and also service customer service. And I would like to thank you for having me here. I'm Leonardo Castillo from the Multi Group, and I'm responsible for the entire aftermarket journey for the final consumers and also the online channels for the company, online sales channels. And I also thank you for having me here. Good afternoon. My name is Ivan Netto from Whirpool Corporation. I'm very happy to be here with the other panelists and with you to share with you our experiences. And I believe that this will be a very rich and positive conversation. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karla Danianne. I'm the digital head from the Fleury Group. And after 21 years taking care of customer experience, I have the challenge of bringing humanization to technology. And I thank you for having me here. Hi, everyone. My name is Gustavo Morais, and I work or will be working for everyone who is attending this session. And I take care of the digital part. It's a huge challenge when you digitalize and you put technology in favor of 45,000 people. And I believe that it will be very profitable having this conversation with you. So, Gustavo, I will start with you because that is the main topic of our discussions, because we have this huge demand when companies are trying to use technology and not let people be left unattended, because we are meaning an efficient journey without losing contact with people. Okay, I think it's very important what you said, because technology, when it's too much, it's just too much. And as a customer, I have already gone through many moments where I interacted with the platform, but eventually it was not the best experience. But we have to be very careful about dealing with technology, and it's very dangerous. But I think that everything starts with people. First of all, we should understand what the challenge is or the pain is. And here we work to support our customers at the service, and we have no off-the-shelf product. The very first step is having a very well-organized area for customer experience, so that they can sit down with our patient and see what the main points are and what the challenges of each area are. And the journey begins with people understanding and mapping the processes, and then trying to fix the main points where technology can help throughout. And another very important point is that we should always try to work on the MVP, the minimum feasible product, or MFP. And sometimes the solution is fully integrated, very big and robust, but where do we start from working with that tool? And how will I solve problems using portions of technology? It's very interesting talking about it and showing that in a panel, but it's not the most easy of things when you presented that to your customers. So people are the starting point. We should understand what their challenges are and take baby steps in solving problem, and then thinking about the lessons learned. And now moving on to the practice, Karla. So Fleury is a company that was not born digital. So it had to become digital, but I believe that every industry has its particularities. We're talking about health here. And how has this process been for you to provide quality service using technology in this technology and people balance. Well, when we talk about Fleury, we talk about health. And when we remember Fleury, the very first thing that is retained in our minds is that we sell health, but we also sell food because our customers go to our office for food because it's something that eventually works, because we don't want our customers to remember of the needles getting into their bodies, but we have this welcoming atmosphere that has always been a piece of resistance of ours. And this is perhaps the biggest challenge that we have in digitalization. But as our colleague said, technology is something that everyone has, but we are in search for offering a digital transformation, a fluid transformation, because or a fluid journey, because everyone wants to have this sort of thing. And digitalization in the end means sparing time. But we want to do that carefully, with care and attention. It's no way the customer getting till the end of the journey without the proper care. But we want it to be memorable. We want the customers to have a story to tell to their friends whenever they learn someone new from Fleury, and they will say, "Okay, tell them you saved my son." And we did not waive that. To us, the greatest challenge is how we can keep this subtleness in our service. It's possible, I can tell you, but it's not easy, because technology was born without that factor. But we know many people from our brand, and we know that we are able to do that. We want our customers to use our solutions and have an 86% of NPS, and that could make our life a little bit more difficult because of the implementation that it all involves. Because subtlety is something that is key. People are creating products here, therefore we need that in creating. We need empathy. We need to test things. We need to hear our customers, and that is the icing of the cake. So technology and the many partners that we have here can prove that, but everyone should keep the essence or the DNA of their own brand, so that you miss it all if you use technology wrongly. But it's in our hands to do that properly. So that applies to the health industry, and I believe that that applies to the other industries as well. It's very hard, and this is why we are here for, and that is our current mission. And Ricardo, you said something interesting, that is serving customers as they want to be served. And if you think about health, there are many people who are young and people that are already senior citizens. And I myself scheduled an appointment at Fleury, sorry, not at Fleury. And at some point, I was kind of mad because they were asking me to press like button 1, 2, or 3, and it annoyed me a little bit. And it means it's all about knowing how the customer wants to be served. And on the other hand, Natty, okay, I will address you as Natty. So Bank was born digital, right? It was born with a mission to be practical, to be inclusive, but lately in October, if I'm not mistaken, you announced the opening of some brick and mortar offices, and I believe that that is in line with the intention of humanizing environments for your customers, like a physical space. But I would like to learn from you, how did you manage to get to this balance between the online service with all the applicable tools and also these brick and mortar offices? Yeah, so Bank was already born digital, and we have, I mean, we have an easy time having this sort of atmosphere because our customers are already familiar with the digital world. And it also relates to the experience that our customers may have in our systems. And sometimes they complain about the journey that they went through, like interaction with robots, but the digital channel provides this practice 24/7 service. And even though it's a robot-based channel, we should make it pleasant. Our bank was born digital. We've been in the business for more than 3 years now, and we conquered our customers digitally, and we got to a point where our customers are at different points of their lives. We are talking about personas. We have many personas in each one of our segments of the industry, and we in our bank have a public of 20 million people. We have the yellow teenager account. They are just getting into the financial, and also have the Cargan, which is a more mature oriented account that needs a special care. But we've paid attention to those very specific moments in addition to our physical presence, and we additionally created two roles: the carbon partner, which is the manager who will present the bank and talk about the best products, and also the investment advisor who will be offering the best product for a public who can afford investing in those solutions. So as Karla already said, what the bank offers is a shelf of services and roles and ways that the public can use to be served, only not only digitally but also in person. It depends a lot on the moment in that person's life, but I believe that this is the best way possible to provide customers with service, is to serve them the way they want to be served. Some people just wanted to be willing to give us information about how they behave. And Natty, related to that, do you conduct any searches, like our customers were waiting for a closer office? Well, we do have searches, but we have the geographic challenge because Brazil is huge. And here we have some hubs in São Paulo and Minas Gerais, but they want to reach other locations where C6 is still not very well known. We do have some search behind that, and we have data that performs this data segmentation, wallet segmentation, targeting specific publics. And now we're talking about products, because when we talk about humanization, we also talk about inclusion, that everyone should feel served by the company's services. And we talked before, and you said a few things that you guys have done at Multi. Yeah, and now Multilaser is called Multi only. Yeah, but I knew the company by its former name, Multilaser. And now you have the 60 plus pack, and we also have the payment slip payment option for those who do not have a credit card. Would you mind telling us a little bit about these more inclusive options and how important that is, and how you position yourselves in the market as a company? Yeah, what I usually say is that Multilaser has a proposal, and that means making technology democratic, and that makes us go after that purpose that would involve everyone having access to technology, truly a true access. And we have some emblematic cases, and especially during the pandemic, and this has even become more vivid in us, which are these two cases. The first one talking about the 60 plus product. So everyone has already gone through a pandemic and this unsurety involved in this process. When you have a look at these 60 plus public, you can just figure out how confused they should have been, and they were very insecure as well regarding technology, because all of us young people migrated to our cell phones so that we could keep our affection and relationship bonds alive. They are very afraid of getting a device into your hands and making mistakes, and occasionally open doors for hackers or anything of that kind. And eventually the belonging sensation, because family in their environments, we would notice that some senior citizens might be a little bit distantiated from the technology world. And then we developed a smartphone for those senior people, a smartphone with larger keys that makes the use of the device easier. And it's very important for us to understand that persona, that audience, and that helped us develop not only a piece of hardware but a solution to make those senior citizens be included in this ecosystem. And during the pandemic, that made a huge difference to that public. So these are very nice reports, seeing elderly being able to participate in WhatsApp conversations with their families, and during the pandemic period where they were totally separated, physically separated from their loved ones. And another interesting fact is that we have our own e-commerce, and during the pandemic, who was already familiar with online banks had no difficulty migrating to that online sales and purchase world. But we have a huge population in Brazil that does not have any bank access because the stores were closed. They needed products for their daily routine, and we launched this project Multi, where we allowed the so-called installment payment method for those who didn't have a bank account. It was a very nice solution. We had this increase of the purchase ticket because they eventually bought more products with a higher added value, and the payment was split into 24 installments, and that was something new. And those who are familiar with online purchasing would not have any difficulties in doing that. But behind every company, we always have the income. It's something that drives us. But if we can do that, but bringing people together and making their lives easier, and Carlos said about the time, the precious time that people have. So everyone defines their time the way they want, but if you can help people using technology and helping them use their time the best way possible, then very certain they may feel themselves more welcomed in the company and about the people that surround them, and that is a very important purpose that we have in our organization. And this is very important when we are talking about customers, and we're also talking about employees look for inclusive companies that have a proposal and have a purpose, and it's the power of the brand now so that it can remain competitive because there are so many companies that emerge, many businesses that emerge which might not have this sort of approach. But you do have Regional Diversity and Inclusion Council, right? And I heard Nelson speak, and you talked also about thought after products. I remember a meeting that I had with an officer, and they said that they offered their customers courses that had nothing to do with the business, like pet cooking. But why? And I answered, this is the approach that I offer my customers. They like everything. We have many, many different needs, and what we were talking about your company is this attentive eye of having professionals who understand all these demands from outside of the company. And please tell us how that works in your company and how you have those insights to develop them and develop actions and solutions, including humanized solutions.
We're amongst the best companies to work in for some time now, and this is very important for the diversity tone. We have various committees amongst the big areas and vice presidencies and committees focused on the diversity inclusion, gender, sexual orientation, race. Myself is part of a group that support black people inside the company with mentorship. So it's really details the company is tuned with, and it makes all the difference, as you mentioned, because I believe that for us to talk about experiences, and I strongly believe that today all companies sell experiences, regardless of what the vessel is, where you'll be consuming the experience from. may it be through the phone, like banking today, or face-to-face to go into Fleury, an e-commerce in the case of Multilaser using BIC services. I think that all of those are part of a package in which that company wants to project on. So without empathy, I mean, putting yourself in the customer's shoes, it is impossible to have an experience. I believe every one of you may have gone into a clothes shop with a higher ticket that were able to purchase, and you were judged because you were not dressed accordingly. So it's a horrible experience, right? So everybody knows the feeling when you are mistreated at a restaurant or a shop. I think in the case of services is more uh, it's more often because the recurrence is great. In our case, the margin is rather small because you being without a fridge or having a washing machine or a stove malfunctioning, it's truly terrible for the family's life. So we can have a margin of error. We have to sort out the client's problem as soon as possible. So, so you are at the base of the pyramid, yeah, exactly. Especially because there was a case of a flaw, yeah. We have the B2C inside the company, but because of a small detail lacking in the development, the data was not getting fully at the end for those who would purchase inside the company whenever they needed service. Some of the information was failing. We identified that and we sorted it out because what was the difficulty back then? When you're servicing a client in our industry, you have to know exactly what product they have, which are a lot. Just refrigerators alone, we have a variety of sizes, colors, and voltages. So each one of them has a difference of parts, which may be key for their repair journey. So we have to ask the client what product they own, and this is a rather stressful part. You won't remember the code for the product, the physical code, though it's extremely necessary for us. So it's a very big gap for us. We fortunately fixed. However, it was very difficult to administer the client that had purchased on the brand side, hoping they would have a differentiated service, and so they are already pissed. And can you go to the back of your fridge? We ask to get the code for the product, and they say no. That's not what I want to hear. I mean, I bought it on the site. Just go there and find out yourself. So these points, I think, the matter of seeking to be a corporation that may be diverse, multiple, able to understand all the difficulties, because we have various products. We have 20,000 real fridges, and we have the entry-level fridge with discount coupon of 20% maybe. Yeah, so okay, so there are refrigerators worth 20,000, but also refrigerators worth 3,000. So every client expects a differentiated service and an urgency of a person who owns a 20,000 real fridge may not be the same one from the other ones. So probably the ones who own a 20,000 real fridge may have another fridge. Now the ones that have an entry-level refrigerator may be the only way to preserve food. We know how expensive it is, like eating and consumption and stuff. We do have to find out the conditions and publics we today sell to. We're only able to do it if we have employees who live through that and know what they go through. This generates innovation, better service. Yeah, in that manner, I would like for you to talk a little bit about, your to have good service, you have to have good team, an empathetic team, a well-trained team. I believe this is a very important pillar in the construction in this journey for digital service more efficient and also human. What recommendations would you provide to train this internal public? Are there specific trainings and the importance with the care upon hiring when the study starts? Technologies involved along all of them to be used in a proper manner and well-employed manner. Have thousands of people working for us, great history with service. So it's part of a gigantic base of information. We use this to build in-house, and now it's a outsourced company using lots of artificial intelligence to interact with the operators. So the first question is, how are you? So they ask with three options. I'm very well, I'm top, I'm a bit down. So according to those answers, if you're telling the two, they're a little bit down, so there is a trigger in supervision to try to service in a non-invasive manner how they can be helped. So though we are very professional, yeah, we have personal manners, problems in life. So it's very important that since the beginning of the journey, the way we assess people and deliver goes in a very transparent manner. It's important for them to know inside their goals. I think the level, it's business centric. You have to take that into account. It's not never business centric, customer centric and business oriented. So at what stage of the ruler they're in the metric, yeah, and what stage they are in their progress. So all this information is used for us to ensure that upon hiring, we're able to have a nice match to what kind of profile we need for each kind of operation, because we have great variety of clients and different operations. Not necessarily the same profile that would be very good for operation would be good for another one. The C6 service is very different from other classic profiles. Yeah? So first, to be able to use technology in a healthy manner and an organized fashion is very important, because at the end of the day, algorithms, as much as we tell that computer is an exact science, it's almost artistic to build the algorithm. And if we build both the algorithms that empower our workers, as well as being humanized experiences in digital channels that interact with our clients, we're not able to do everything in a humanized way. So the team that builds and keeps the screens in our agents, they're called like curators, curatorship. So it's a very human terminology for those who keep a software running. It would be nice if each one of you would share a nice experience of people management with teams for training and this matter of the humanized look and those behavioral competences that are more important nowadays. We have to very well know, like in the financial business, health, and so on. Would anybody like to share an experience, a nice case? I can talk. Maybe what I'm about to say is quite obvious, but I have a saying that says, like, okay, the obvious has to be said, and I think that the center is the people. It's obvious, but when we go to the hands-on, we find a lot of disruptions amidst this, from my standpoint, especially when you look upon a company talking about customer experience, and eventually the manager from the area itself doesn't even talk to the people that work in the same company. So I'm asking them to sell this thing to the market, and myself in home is not doing my homework, which seems obvious. And I remember that during the pandemics, every one of us lived through a crazy experience. Everybody was locked down inside their own homes, worried about their security. But in the next moment, we started thinking, what is going to be like for these people to be outside our environment, eventually living with a mother that was locked down, a younger brother. that went back inside the home and interrupts their day-to-day at work. Obviously, not everyone has the privilege of having an exclusive place to do the so-called home office. Yeah, and in our case, we started to look at this with concern, not looking at the final result, which is to service the end consumer, but to how can I service my employee? How can I provide them with the minimum level of comfort? So in a moment we didn't know what was about to happen, and they were inside an ecosystem in which they would have to have a certain minimum level of comfort to deliver what we needed. And we took a series of actions to do the obvious, a help desk through voice for this employee to contact us at any moment to talk to us about any topic, doubt, fear of servicing a customer, problem they were going through inside their homes, and this led to us getting closer to them. And when we stop and analyze this first stage, this first action, we started identifying problems because not everything is wonderful, and we could treat those problems individually and more assertively because we can't get it all right the first time. But it brought engagement with between the employee and ourselves that facilitated the whole capacitation process. We had a knowledge base that was wide. Multilaser, for those who don't know, it's more than 22 lines of different businesses, more than 1,500 products for consumer goods. We had a wide consumer knowledge to support this person on a technical, but we found out that what it was missing for them is the human part for them to notice at Multi. What is Multi for them? It's me, my managers, my supervisors, yeah. So we talk a lot about companies, but we are the company, and each one of us, regardless of the level we are, so they notice that a lot. So we have somebody by your side to support you, while this person had no idea what was going to happen because we were on the same boat. I think it's interesting that after that we implemented artificial intelligence, so we have technology and we stopped doing monitoring by human. We put artificial intelligence to capture 100% of our calls and detect problems, and may they be technical, like a client mentioning Procon or type Procon in WhatsApp, or problems regarding customer annoyance, or we placed a specific cell called empowerment to call later this customer and treat their problem right away. We want us to solve not only the problem but to help the attendant, yeah. Because if we think about it, we have not a lot of calls, but about 110,000 calls per month. So how can I get a 100% home office team to ensure care for these people and clients? So artificial intelligence helped us monitor 100% of the calls. This was fantastic. And on top of these business rules, for us to fish out small problems that could eventually become bigger, coupon, chat, and so on, and work immediately towards the customer and the attendant, the agent, to help them, to calm them down, whether they were going through some kind of difficulty and leading to them treat the consumer badly. So this was something that brought a lot of comfort to us, especially for us to keep home office 100% here at Multi. Yeah, the basis is not so hard. We have to listen, yeah, both our employees as well as our clients. That's the basis of it. It's not that hard. The hard thing is to sew that in with tools and software and technology so everything flows nicely inside the company. I think we have time to share one more case here for management, if anybody like. Then we'll go on to other considerations. Talking a little bit about the consignated service, we had an interesting experience and authenticate the client that a lot of people that call us are sales agents that are seeking product information or liquidate contracts, and they're not the customer. So knowing this niche, we implemented a process that whenever we're asked a sensible thing, a billet to be liquidated or something that they don't know the contract, I send them a link via email that did digital hiring, so these clients are able to, we call it liveness, but it's a selfie with movement to ensure that person is alive. It's not a picture of a picture and so on. We had a rather enlightening experience. What is very obvious to ourselves is not obvious to the service team and neither for the end client. And so it was the words used and everything used that both are operational as well as the client with the co-signed that we call it selfie now, yeah. They understand why they're doing it, why it is necessary, the value of that, and they're able to carry out the steps correctly. It's a simple process, however, it's a learning process for implementation. Implement MVP and monitor it. Is the return good? No, let's adjust it, monitor it. So it was an interesting experience and rather nice that we learned greatly on how to adjust the forks and screws. So MVP is so good, yeah, because before we would have to think about something from beginning to end, spending months trying to get it done, and it was not what we wanted at the end. And nowadays we fine tune it, we listen to the client, and it's just rather nice, yeah. And you're able to have the client's feedback in real time and directly inside the very channel, yeah. You press the button to get feedback, and people provide feedback. And how important it is to have context, because we would hear some talks in the beginning, and the agent treating their clients would explain the process very nicely. But the client thought it was unnecessary bureaucracy. They don't know what it was for. At the end of the day, it was for the very safety. Yeah? I don't want to send out sensitive information regarding the client, like a billet, as there is the client's address and so on, to make sure they're talking to them. And when you provide context, they're sold, right? Let's start with the why. Yeah? When we provide the context and provide a route, and so the client is sold, so it was learning for everyone. I would like to contribute with this MVP part because we go through a dilemma. MVP is necessary for the methodology, otherwise you go back to the cascade methodology. But we have segments that will not accept MVP. I didn't say the word easier, and the feeling I still have, I believe that for having a rather demanding public that accepts nothing but excellence, is that ourselves in the market will still go through anyways, like at last somebody did that. Sometimes when we implement something in our bank, we think, okay, at last somebody did it. How many times the companies go through a wow, I want the customer experience to be like a wow, where did they get that from? And we still go through the stage of the at last. A lot of us are still going after losses, something we're left behind in. And the client is our best designers, with all the respect here. So the bar is quite high. For the longest time, we wanted the clients to schedule their own exams. It's very annoying. You don't understand, like how many times you have gotten that piece of paper. You do it driving or eating. No, you have to concentrate. Sit in front of that paper. You ask Chico Xavier to go through a psychography to understand what you want to purchase. We still have 30% of the orders that are transcribed, so we have to tell our doctors to not do it that way, because no doctor will solve doctor's handwriting. The OCR for technology for digitized transcriptions. So action plan, talk to our doctor. The other part, which is 70%, we thought that upon delivering on the client's hand the possibility to choose your own exams, all right, you can do it on your own. You don't have to call us. So they get that paper and they say, wow, I have to choose one by one. But it took me so long to get this done. Okay, I want it. But do you know how I want it? I want to send you a picture. And that magically, my exams will go inside a basket and you only give me back a calendar without drawing blood if necessary. Yeah. So we are rushing all the time, but the client's expectation is always ahead of us, and this will take some time. And we started in the so we have the expectation and reality. Yeah, that's a fact. We're still be taking large steps, but it will be a while for us to be from at last to wow. Yeah. There's no magic formula here. We can remember 3 or 4 pieces of work by Picasso, but he's got thousands. Yeah, it's an innovation process and needs change all the time. Sometimes you want something, sometimes you want another thing. You want to call at one point and schedule all the. So can I do it? Yeah, because
It's very hard to have 100% of hits. Yeah, because sometimes customer wants more and more deliveries, and that's coming to an end, and that makes it all be challenging to us because we are in search for the wow all of the time, and sometimes we have the finally, and you should have already done that. But the subtleness is what makes us surprise our customers. Is what we are looking for. I believe that the standard, the median, is what everyone can do. But I believe that everyone should look for the unexpected. Yes, but sometimes you might have the wow factor influencing the customer in such a way that they always want the wow factor all of the time. And we people believe that our customers go towards a specific direction. And I would like to leave these final minutes for your final thoughts. If you want to add anything, or if you want to talk about a project that is interesting or a pillar that is crucial for your service, this humanized service and technology-driven service. So who wants to begin? I can share a case that I lived while I was working at my former company. Sometimes you're looking for the wow factor and get to the finally moment, but we are looking for the wow factor, and in our minds, we were doing that without actually looking what our customers wanted. All the vehicle websites have the create your own vehicle. It's just like a dream that you're assembling. Like you would be assembling a 3D model of your car and see how the design of your vehicle would be. And we even had these meetings with the designer because they thought that the crease of the car was not well placed at a certain position. But we invested a lot on that tool, and of course we had the result in leads and people who got interested in buying the car eventually, and then the information was sent to the dealerships so that they would be able to draft that price code. But after we started listening to what our customers wanted, we changed a lot the way we operated, because even though we put many tools for the customers to have a visualization of the model, experience, and dream along with us about what they wanted to buy. And at the same time, we from Fiat noticed that the customers might not even have the money to buy the vehicle. It was no use allowing the customers to um, build their own car without having the credit for purchasing their vehicle. And we changed things and concentrated our efforts in trying to connect and bring it in bank um, proposal simulations into our website so that the customers would have access to that right away. And we had the entire efforts of generating many leads. But when we did that, we took the credit machine from our competitors, from Net's company, but when we put that in our own website, we could generate threefold a threefold amount of leads in a very short period of time because the customer was able to build their own car and said, okay, now can I pay what I've just assembled? And just notice the difference in terms of performance about seeing the experience from the customer's experience, sorry, the customer's perspective. And we also have this experience in terms of accessibility and credit. Sometimes many people do not have the money to buy the car or is lacking some sense. It's having a true look at your customer and make sure that they have something that makes a difference, not something that you believe will make any difference. And if you're looking for that target, it's a search for relinquishing what you had in terms of old ideas. You should have this humble look at your customers and try to understand what they really want and need. Otherwise, the price of the car would go up and the wow factor would not come out of that. And when we did that, the wow factor was effective. And I believe that whenever you were building MVPs or trying to work on items, you have to keep yourself humble because you must notice that you haven't gotten there yet. And that makes us reach our customers' expectations. Yeah, if I could add anything to it, and that relates to that wow factor, um, and many things of the wow that our customers want go through our system. And a final consideration that I would leave you is digitalization. And as we are also talking about innovation, the business area was going apart from the technology area in a company. So in the scenario that we are now living in, this ongoing overcoming of facts, and perhaps the current wow factor might not be the wow factor of the future. This is something is very important for us to understand technology to make that path simpler, the path between a business area and the developers. That's a tip that I usually give all my team members, and I believe that it's a golden tip. Technology is a tool. It truly is. If you do not understand your business and is not aware of how you can transit between business and technology, your business will not be successful. And that lack of success is a consequence of the way you put the product on air, and that was not in line with what the company wanted or what the customers wanted, because there are so many systems that have been developed by companies which eventually were not successful and did not bring the expected results. And more we are trying to humanize in our businesses and technologies that, and if we bring it all together to the customer experience, it's a factor of success to any professional in the area. So we talked a lot about what we can do, but I'd like to close about what we should not do. Sometimes we believe that, well, I have a public from call centers and customer experiences. We are looking for this transition into the digital world, but I believe that our biggest trap about digitalization is digitalizing what you do in the human world. And that's not right. Because if you do that, you'll believe that your customer is an agent from your call center. We should not replicate our digital journey to our customers. In this case, we would not have a look at the persona because our persona does not work at our own company. In my company, my persona does not have any idea about what a clinical analysis examination is all about. And to my customer, I should put urine, stool, blood, and this is the language. So it might not be the best or the prettiest language, but they should understand what we want. And it's not about replicating what we do digitally to the public, because we might have some UX people who behave as customers, but this is something that might not be successful enough, because they should go through a journey based on the customer's perspective. So thank you very much. I believe that we would have so many other topics to discuss and also business cases, but we are out of time already. And thank you very much, guys.